Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today. It's Wednesday. It's March 31st, 2021. I'm the man they call Meathead and joined every Wednesday morning by Matthew Thomas. Good morning, Matthew.
Top of the morning to you, Meathead.
It is the top of the morning indeed. Let's talk about yesterday's show with you and Linda. How did it go? I had a couple things going on. I had to step away, but I know the two of you handled it with grace and aplomb.
There were no plums or fruits involved.
Gotcha. Well, we'll be talking about Orange Cassidy later on. Thank you. Welcome back, Meathead. So we'll make sure you tip your waitress. Let's talk about our sponsors. CollarandElbowBrand.com are going to be talked about first because I am wearing my Collar and Elbow brand gear. I got it by saving 10% using the promo code PWR360. Again, buenos hermanos. D'Lo Brown's got good stuff. I know there's new spring gear that's been loaded up there. I enjoy my Irish Whip t-shirt as well. Uncle Al still taking care of everybody over at CollarandElbowBrand.com. Again, the promo code PWR360 will save you 10%. Plus, our friends at Manscaped.com. You know, you've been growing out that furry bush all winter long, keeping yourself warm. Well, it's time to trim down the man-fro using the promo code PWR at Manscaped.com. It'll save you 20% while you clean up 100% of that nasty ball bush that you got with Manscaped.com. You like that, Matthew? Ball bush?
Yeah, but you're just taking for granted and assuming that people want to trim up 100% of. Maybe they want to trim up 50%. Maybe it wants to be the equivalent of, how you got your pizza topping. Sometimes you can get 1/2 pepperoni, 1/2 cheese. Maybe that's what they want to do.
I remember seeing the TV show once where the female character went from a pizza slice down to a breadstick. And maybe you go from an entire, afro down to, say, maybe a, instead of a shag carpet, you go down to maybe hardwood floor. I mean, you never know.
Crew cut, maybe.
Crew cut, maybe you can go cornrows. I mean, I don't
know. Flat top.
Mohawk. Oh, boy. So, yeah, there's that. But let's talk wrestling news here. First off, Charlotte put out a statement where she's been, why she's been going, and really it's a statement to not correct, but to help with the interpretation of her man, Andrade, real name Manuel Afonso Andrade Opereza, who did an interview with Hugo Savinovich on Lucha Libre's online Facebook page. Now, Andrade was released from WWE last week and reportedly does not have a 90-day compete clause. The whole interview was in Spanish, and the translations have been making it around the internet. So Charlotte figured she would go out and kind of clear things up in habla inglés. She refers to him as Manny. And then what Manny said about the pregnancy test in today's interview is true, but a significant amount of context was lost in translation, and she wants to clear it up. A few weeks ago, she received a call from WWE Medical telling her that her HCG levels came back high and she was being medically suspended for pregnancy. First off, a female gets suspended for pregnancy? That's got to be a talk with HR. All right. Secondly, that day, she went home and took several home tests that all came back negative. A few days later, the blood work and the ultrasound confirmed there was no pregnancy. This was before any of her issues with COVID. This put a lot in context for her, how small a woman's career window is. The men are able to work well into their 50s, while women are seen as older in their early 30s. Even for athlete in prime, these years mean everything. Her issue was with the process and how the information was relayed as opposed to the information itself. Now, COVID had happened to Charlotte right after that as well, and that might be for some reason why her HCG levels went up, but she's medically cleared. So she was gone because of COVID. I honestly think the timing was absolutely just the worst, and she might be getting pulled from WrestleMania because of just the really bad timing. Matthew, your thoughts on the whole situation?
Yeah, it's it definitely attention grabbing when the article first came out. I believe it was yesterday, and I think the statement she put out made a lot of sense. I mean, it does. Initially, it kind of came across as, they told her they were pregnant. She was pregnant, and they got it wrong. So once you start kind of hearing a little bit more explanation, it does make a bit more sense. So I think that the additional facts probably help the matter to blow over like it's ultimately going to do.
Let's talk about the medically suspended for
Yeah.
pregnancy. What in the wide world
Yeah.
of sports is going on with that?
That I don't think that terminology can work much longer.
Right. Because let's go back 1 year ago. Money in the Bank winner Asuka won the Money in the Bank. They opened up her briefcase and they found the Raw Women's Championship inside of it because Becky Lynch was pregnant. Becky Lynch was competing pregnant. Now you can be medically suspended to be pregnant. Yeah. What world are we living in?
Yeah. After this gets some attention, you're exactly right. I can't imagine that the HR department's not changing some wording on some documents.
Holy smokes. I mean, granted, the company may tell you that they are attempting to do this to protect the talent, but wow. I mean, wow. Let's move on from that one because that one bothers me a little bit. Charly Caruso, no longer with WWE and taking on a new full-time role with ESPN. This I did not know. Charly Caruso was with ESPN back in 2018. There's pictures of her out there when she was doing some updates with ESPN back in 2018. I don't know what the deal was as far as why she was pulled off the TV. Maybe it's because they found out she was interviewing to go at ESPN. I always thought there was a very fluid path, a river going back and forth between ESPN and WWE, Coachman, Grisham, and other talents going back and forth between the two companies. But Charly Caruso was taken off of TV. That's where you saw that new backstage interviewer from, I think he's Scottish or Irish. I'm not quite sure. But she's gone. She's now full-time with ESPN, and many thanks to the WWE. Matthew, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad that she's got something else lined up, and I look forward to seeing her. I think the chemistry is going to work really good with Craig Kilborn.
Craig Kilborn. Wait a minute. What year is this?
Oh, we're not doing the Nitro podcast anymore? Okay, never
mind. Because I think that's when Craig was still doing SportsCenter. Those were my favorite SportsCenters, by the way. Obviously, Craig Kilborn left, went off to do the Daily Show and Your Moment of Zen. And then he went off and got the Craig Kilborn show on CBS, I think it was, right after Letterman. It might have been 2 shows after Letterman. But I enjoyed Patrick and Oberman. Yeah. I even enjoyed Rich Eisen and Booyah Stuya Scott.
Yep.
But I'm not trying to talk down about ESPN right now, but do you watch SportsCenter? I have not. I cannot tell you the last time I watched it.
I don't, and that was my peak SportsCenter watchage right there. I think our paths pretty much ran parallel with that.
Because now it seems to be about a bunch of talking heads versus showing clips from every game. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted to see when my team's clips were going to air, and I wanted to see highlights. And it's become so much less about that. I don't want to sound like an old man, but I'm happy to see that she's got a job, and because that's really all we ever want to say is, you don't want to see somebody lose their job and not have any way to make any money. So Charly Caruso now with ESPN.
Did you ever watch much Cold Pizza? Do you remember that?
Well, Cold Pizza's still there. They just changed the name because it was First Take is what Cold Pizza is. Cold Pizza that name lasted maybe a couple months, and then they changed it.
Yeah. I was a Cold Pizza kind of guy.
I like Cold Pizza. Matter of fact, my favorite Cold Pizza was always Little Caesars. Tasted better cold than it did hot.
So that's the opposite of their hot and ready. It's their cold and ready, right?
Cold and ready for the man that called Meathead to wake up in the morning and grab a slice right out of the fridge. It does something. The cheese coagulates in a different way. It just tastes better that way. So, all right, let's talk a little bit of Impact last night. We had the return of Chris Harris, half of America's Most Wanted, that tag team that really kind of launched James Storm into the national spotlight. Your thoughts on Chris Harris showing up for James Storm's 1,000th match?
I think it was a very good idea. I mean, there is, you forget sometimes that Impact TNA has been around for 20 years, and you really, I think, kind of zeroed in on some of their lineage and some of their history there. I think it was a really smart move by the company.
Let's make our way over to talk of AEW first, and then we got some news on NXT as well. We're going to start with AEW. Big show kind of coming up tonight, right? I mean, we had the Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone promo last night again on Impact. Tony Khan, I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but let's talk about tonight's AEW show. It is the in-ring debut of Christian Cage in All Elite Wrestling. First match in about 7 years for Christian Cage, and he will take on Frankie Kaz. What do you expect to see out of Christian Cage?
I expect to see him work very hard.
Will he outwork Frankie Kaz?
That's what we. You know what? Wouldn't it be great if it was the whole angle was just a bait and switch, and it's just the most lackadaisical, lazy performance? He adopts like
that wrestler. It's Orange Cassidy.
I know. I was gonna say he'd have to adopt like an Orange Cassidy, style gimmick. That'd be freaking fantastic. If Orange Cassidy didn't exist, that'd be the perfect bait and switch.
What kind of tag team could we have if we had Orange and Christian? I mean, does Orange come in for the hot tag, or has Christian got to come in for the hot tag after 10 minutes?
You know what? No, you take Christian into his extreme, workability. That's what we do. And Orange Cassidy's kind of like his protege. He's trying to get him to work harder. And so, yeah, you have a disproportionate amount of Orange Cassidy actually being in ring and Christian just itching on the outside to get the hot tag. Orange Cassidy in ring for like 85-90% of the match. They just keep him in the opposing corner. And then finally, oh man, I think
Orange Cassidy becoming a human bump machine.
Yes, there's some potential there. But no, I think this is a good first match for Christian. You're not just feeding him somebody that you don't have a ton of familiarity with. This is Frankie Kazarian's most likely going to be an excellent match. Exactly. And I'm glad that they haven't really sat on Christian that long. He's going to get his first match fairly early, and I think it's a good move.
Okay. So Christian Cage, Frankie Kazarian going to go one-on-one tonight on Dynamite. We've also got a couple other matches too. Moxley will take on Cesar Bonani with Ryan Nemeth in his corner. I don't know how this works, but Moxley is going to have a match with Cesar Bonani. Your thoughts?
I expect, especially with Ryan Nemeth in the corner, you're probably going to see a bit. It's probably going to bring out Eddie Kingston because somebody in somebody's corner might mean a little bit of interference. So you might see that pack between Moxley and Kingston seeming a little bit further.
MJF's got a gift to the Pinnacle. I don't know if it's different hand gestures. I don't know if he's going to be handing out pinky rings. I mean, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, but MJF is going to be giving out gifts to the Pinnacle. What do you think it's going to be?
Let's see. How many people in the Pinnacle total is it?
I think it's 5.
Okay.
I mean, 5 workers. I mean, because I count Wardlow as a worker.
Yeah.
And then you got Tully.
I'm envisioning something that's like a 4 Horsemen ripoff. It's not gonna be a picture of MJF to anybody. That's way too early to have that type of angle there. But I expect it to be some type of a ripoff of the 4 Horsemen or some other well-known stable.
Okay. Yeah, it's 5. It's FTR, MJF, Wardlow, Sean Spears, and then you got Tully. So Tully is the JoJo Dillon, the JJ Dillon of the group, which is fine. I mean, that stuff doesn't bother me at all. Women's, we have Akira Shida and Tay Conte taking on the Bunny and Nyla Rose. Now, Shida and Conte are going to be the quote-unquote faces because on the other side, Nyla Rose has got Vicky, and the Bunny has got Big Money Matt Hardy. So it's like a 4-on-2. What do you think?
I'm intrigued by the matchup, and I think that this is another chance for AEW to really gain some traction in women's wrestling. Raw last night had about 10 minutes of women's wrestling in a 3-hour show where we, had time for music videos. We had time for charades. We had time for strolls.
Well, I mean, half the women's roster might be suspended for pregnancy. I mean, who knows?
They might be.
You're talking about Monday night, right?
Yeah, Monday night. That's right, 2 nights ago. This is, I think, another week where AEW can really gain some traction. And the cool thing about this match, it makes sense. I mean, this is a continuing storyline from last week. It's not the AEW formula of, having a match with a couple of folks that you really haven't seen on Dynamite in a couple of weeks. They're kind of continuing a storyline in that women's division. So I think it's a chance for them to gain some ground.
Yeah, absolutely. It would not be Dynamite or AEW without a 6-man tag at minimum, or 8-man tag, or 10-man tag, or 12-man tag. Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, Buenos Hermanos, with Don Callis, the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega, taking on the team of the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. So I love this team. I absolutely love this team. It's not the Death Circle or Death Triangle, because you got Laredo Kid taking the spot of Pac, but I still think this is going to be a match worth watching. Your thoughts on Omega and the Good Brothers, the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid?
This is going to be some fantastic wrestling. I think this is going to be something to see here.
Speaking of wrestling, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, will take on QT Marshall with special guest referee Arn Anderson. What's going to happen here? I mean, because QT's been having problems with the Nightmare family, and Cody says, look, I might slap on the Crossroads, but I won't lock it in all the way. I'm going to take it easy on you, kid.
This is a chance to make QT Marshall. Look for something big for QT Marshall here.
The big gimmick match for tonight, Arcade Anarchy. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed, taking on Kip Sabian and Miro in an Arcade Anarchy match. This is going to happen in an arcade. They're probably going to be putting heads through cabinets and playing the games. What's going to happen here?
I don't know, but I know at least one of these competitors was in a parking lot brawl some months back that was a very, very impressive match and was not kind of your typical gimmick match. So
that brawl was pretty decent, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And this does seem like it would lend itself to comedy, but I would not be so surprised that we don't have a really intriguing match here.
I think it's going to be brutal with a little comedy in it. There's got to be some. I mean, it's Orange Cassidy. I mean, Orange Cassidy's going to have a couple of, laugh 'em up moments.
Yeah.
Let's talk news real quick about NXT before we go into previewing it for tonight. NXT on Wednesdays is almost gone. The move is official. WWE NXT is going to move to Tuesdays after the USA Network extension. So USA and the WWE have extended their contracts. We're talking almost 3 decades worth of, relationship here. If you forget about I think it was 3 years possibly that they were on at that point, Spike
TNN.
TV, which used to be the new TNN, which is now Paramount Network. They're back in USA Network owned by NBC Universal. So this just makes sense. I find it funny, though, and here's the kind of details I want to point out here. This coming from SI.com, SportsIllustrated.com. The move brings an end to WWE's Wednesday Night War with AEW. In response to the 2019 debut of AEW's Dynamite on Wednesday nights on TNT, WWE moved the NXT from a pre-tape show that was streaming on the network to a live broadcast on USA Network. They have tried to counter-program against AEW for almost 2 years. Dynamite has consistently outperformed NXT in the ratings, particularly in the coveted 18 to 49-year-old demographic. So it is ironic that WWE is counter-programming by just getting rid of the competition, moving their content away from AEW. And in a preemptive move, remember, we talked about this last week, Impact has already said they're going to move to Thursdays because they're not playing games trying to go up head-to-head with WWE.
I think the wrestling fan wins in this, and I'm looking forward to, as fun as the Wednesday Night War, if you want to call it, that's been, it's going to be easier to consume the content for your normal wrestling viewer. Not having NXT and AEW on opposite of each other. I think it will give, more time for people to kind of digest the product and, have each night have its own special deal. And I mean, it's crazy when you stop and think about it. Did you ever think that you'd get to a point where you would have major promotions on every night of the week, Monday through Friday?
Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night NXT, Wednesday night Dynamite, Thursday night Impact, Friday night SmackDown, possible Saturday night AEW pay-per-view, possible Sunday night WWE pay-per-view, Impact pay-per-views, Ring of Honor. You could watch wrestling 7 days a week. It may be too much, to be honest with you, but this is also a win for AEW's Dynamite because the wrestling fan that's looking to watch stuff on Wednesdays, they're not going to watch NXT on Wednesdays anymore. They're all going to go over to Dynamite.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And we're not even talking about the content that you've got to go to find. AEW Dark,
we're just talking about the proper shows, the top one.
I mean, WWE's still got main event going on.
Yeah, main event. They've got NXT UK. They've got 205 Live is still out there somewhere, floating around on some program. Whew. We've got one more show to talk about tonight, and that's WWE's NXT. March 31st, there is a gauntlet eliminator spots that are on the line in a 12-man battle royal. I'm going to do my best by picture only. I'm going to try to name all 12 of these competitors. Now, I recognize guys like Austin Theory, Pete Dunne, Isaiah Scott Swerve, Leon Ruff, Kushida, Dexter Lumis, Roderick Strong, Bronson Reed, my man Cameron Grimes, to the moon. I can do 11 of the 12. There's one, I don't know if you have the picture up for WWE's NXT. I don't recognize the gentleman in the bottom left corner.
That's
Jake Atlas.
Johnny Smithers.
It's Jake Atlas. By the way, I also forgot to mention L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Yep.
Who's winning? I mean, here we go. Like I said, Loomis, Reed, Ruff, Grimes, Strong, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Pete Dunne, L.A. Knight, Kushida, Jake Atlas, Austin Theory. Who's winning it?
I want to be optimistic because he got a loss last week. Hopefully they pull the trigger on L.A. Knight.
I think it's perfect. I think L.A. Knight should be the right one, especially because he made Bronson Reed look a little bit stronger. Bronson Reed coming out looking like Jerry from The Walking Dead. But Bronson Reed looked like a beast beating L.A. Knight, who came out with all this huge steam. And I really do think that this is something for L.A. Knight. Folks, you're going to continually hear me just pound the desk and tell you about L.A. Knight. This guy's a star. It may take a little bit. Yeah, I may sound a little salty saying it over and over because I want to see him do something good and go up the list. But L.A. Knight, folks, again, mark your calendars. Also,
he pops off of your TV screen more so than anybody.
He pops off like a star.
Yeah, on NXT. I mean, it top 5 of anybody in the industry right now as far as star potential.
So there's that big battle royal. Now, they've got some goofy rules in this. Let's talk about it real quick. The final 6, right? That's how it goes. The final 6 will end up making it to TakeOver. So it's Loomis, Reed, Leon Ruff, Cameron Grimes, Roderick Strong, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Pete Dunne, L.A. Knight, Kushida, Tyler Rust is in there as well, Jake Atlas, and Austin Theory to compete to determine who will earn a spot in the Gauntlet Eliminator match on night 1 of NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver. The last man standing in the Gauntlet Eliminator match will face Johnny Gargano for the North American title the following night. Whew, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro will tempt the fate with Tian Sha's showdown. The chick in the chair is going to compete. Matthew, what do you expect to see out of the chick in the chair?
I think she'll blow through whoever she's wrestling.
Okay. We've also got in one-on-one Roderick Strong to begin a new journey in the showdown with Cameron Grimes.
This will be fun. I don't know that Cameron Grimes is picking up the win, but it'll be fun to watch.
Well, is Roderick Strong ready to travel to the moon?
I guess we'll have to tune in tonight and see.
I've got one more if you're ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
If Cameron Grimes does lose, he's going to tell Roderick Strong, kiss my grits.
you know that's happening.
I don't care. Again, he can keep losing matches. As long as he keeps doing what he's doing with the Hillbilly Millionaire, that stuff just entertains me to no end.
I tell you, I think that's a pairing for the Dusty Classic next year is him and L.A. Knight.
L.A. Knight. Kiss my grits, L.A. Knight. Boy, you has got a fancy jacket. Can I buy it? Well, that is PWR today for Wednesday, March 31st. Matthew, we're at the end of March. Tomorrow, I hope nobody tries to play any April Fool's jokes on us. And, I hope I don't get any funny emails. I hope everything goes well with PWR today. Also, folks, keep your eye peeled to the PWR Twitter at PWR Show 360. I think it's PWR 360, actually. There may be PWR draft news coming sooner than you think. Possibly fans involved. finger to the pinky to the mouth. We'll have to see. So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.